Welcome everybody to another episode of Two Brothers Same Mother. Of course, it's Sheik. We got AJ over there as well. 2 weeks after the NFL draft, right before they're going to release the official NFL schedule, and yet the Eagles seem to always give us something to talk about.
Absolutely, always.
What we're going to do, we're going to talk about, just to give you an idea, some roster stuff, where we think the roster is going to shape up, what we could actually anticipate, or what it would be reasonable, assuming this team is healthy, a win total for the Birds. And then
Right.
I'm going to ask AJ to think about him as a teenager. So that's going to be a dangerous conversation. Well, we're going to start first with Eagles made an interesting roster move. They signed a former second-round pick, Kerryon Johnson, who was
Kerryon Johnson.
He looked promising, and then injuries after injury after injury.
Right.
Interesting thing is now he joins a stable of 7 other running backs. And I mean, it's not uncommon for the Eagles to go into what starts as minicamp with like 8 running backs.
Mhm.
But what I want to do here is I want to go through, got me looking into a few positions on the offense where we seem to have a plethora of players, but we already know there's only going to be a few roster spots open. So call it kind of roster musical chairs, if you will.
Right.
So when the music stops, who, as far as that running back field, do you think has a roster spot?
I personally feel we're going to carry 4 running backs on the active roster. And that would be Sanders, Gainwell, Howard, and Johnson. Boston Scott, unfortunately, gone, but he is more almost like a build of Jordan Howard, almost. Johnson is. So I think they're going to keep them both because both of them kind of can, you know what I mean? Like offer that physicality, and Gainwell is a receiver in the running back's body. So
I honestly think Kerryon don't make it out of camp.
oh, okay.
I think what happens is that Boston Scott ends up being so good that, and when I say that, all aspects, not running the ball per se, but he ends up being that kick returner we first saw that had a spark that made
I
them
can
say,
see
you
that.
know what? Okay, Miles Sanders and Gainwell, they're going to be our 2 kind of feature backs. Jordan Howard comes in when we need some tough yardage or maybe just to spell them.
Mhm.
And Boston Scott is an emergency running back, but that's going to be our main kick returner.
And I could see that.
On a scale of 1 to 10, assuming he's healthy, how surprised would you be if Jordan Howard was the odd man out?
If he was healthy,
Yes.
no, I would say he was the odd man out if he was healthy.
So, so you would say 1 to 10 if he was. The surprise factor would be a 10.
Yes, based off what we've seen and how they're doing, it looks like it's going to be almost like a zone blocking scheme. And with flow, Jordan Howard, when healthy, he could go right up into that, up into the tackle, guard tackle, right up in there and slash up in there and gain yardage. He is really good at that. If Kerryon Johnson could be healthy and Jordan Howard healthy, I definitely think that they're just going to be like, yo, let's just go with these 2, you know what I mean, guys. And unfortunately for Boston Scott. But at the same time, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Kerryon Johnson was the odd man out and Boston Scott, because of the aspect of he could do kick return.
Going into our next spot, I want to go to wide receiver. So wide receiver, I mean, we've carried 6 wide receivers before, so let's just assume we're carrying 6.
Okay.
There's 10 wide receivers on the roster. Obviously, Devontae Smith and Jalen Reagor are givens, right? There's no chance they're getting cut. Who do you think is filling those next 3 spots?
Probably going to say Fogum and I want to say Fogum, Grimes, and probably Quez for the same reason you feel with Boston Scott. He offers something in the return game.
Is there any chance, and I hate to like kind of put the bad guy juju on him, but is there any chance Howie Roseman turns around and says, we got to give JJ one more shot?
I don't see that because from what I'm hearing from what I'm reading and stuff, is a lot of the issues with Fulgham, even though we were like, oh, they had to put uh, uh, Alshon out there, was a lot of the issues were, so they said something about maturity issue, and then he had like 2 ankle surgeries during the season.
Okay.
So
With that being said, I mean, obviously Smith, Rager, Ward. Um, I think Fulgham is there. I think Quez is there, and I think Grimes actually beats out Hightower.
so do I, and I also think that I think Hightower will end up being on practice squad, but
I think this is where the interesting thing comes in at, and that's a tight end.
mm-hmm.
There's a possibility we only carry 2. More than likely, we're going to carry 3.
Mm-hmm.
There's 7 on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
The big one that's still here, which I'm starting to think more and more, unless if someone in the league gets injured and they offer something Howie significant, is going to be here, is Zach Ertz.
Based off of who's on the roster now.
Yes.
There is rumors that Richard Sherman and Trey Burton are supposed to be coming this week sometime, whatever, to talk to Eagles. But whatever, we're basing it off of this. So if this is what we have, I'm going to go with Dallas, Caleb Wilson, and Jack Stoll, the kid from Nebraska.
Really? See,
Yes.
I think it's going to be Goddard, Kroom, and Butler. And I think Stoll will end up on the practice squad.
There's going to be somebody else that may get put on the practice squad that may sometime during the season creep up and be the third tight end. And his name is J. Joe.
I can't see him be well.
I mean, he's already like 230.
Yeah, but I don't know if he has the ability to become a tight end. He's not Tim Tebow.
No. I mean, but if he puts on like 20, 25, which isn't hard for these guys, you know what I'm saying, 20, 25 pounds. And that's why I said he would be like almost like a project, which is something they love. You know,
I mean, I would love to actually see Zach Ertz on this roster week 1. But I don't think he will be.
I don't think he will be, but the only reason I really don't want to see Ertz on this roster is because I'm tired of 12 personnel. Go give me 3 wide and 1 tight end and a running back, and I'm happy all day.
Yeah, so I mean, the only person out of that group is Goddard that is guaranteed a spot.
Right, 1,000%, yeah.
And honestly, I mean, I mentioned Kroom and Butler. You mentioned Wilson and Stoll. I mean, the only guy that we don't expect to make this squad is Tyree Jackson.
Right, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
But he'll be our number 2 tight end. That's what
right. But with Ertz, I think the biggest thing. I mean, you could be right. It could be like one of those, hey, a guy got hurt, blah blah blah. But I think it's more of the June 1st. I think it's gonna be a June 1st cap casualty where it ends up, if they cut him, it saves them like $4 million.
Wanted to kind of go through a little bit of the Eagles schedule, not wins and losses. We're going to do that next week. A lot of people always down that. I actually find that to be fun. I mean,
I do to a certain extent.
Like, I'm not going to sit there and make like a huge or hold people to it, but like, I think it's fun to say, I think this is winnable. That's not winnable. You know what I mean? Things always change. You know, so I kind of just wanted to go through who we're going to play, right? Because as of right now, we play at Washington, at Dallas, at the Giants, right? We play at the Jets. We play at the Falcons. We play at the Panthers, at the Broncos, at the Raiders. Then coming at home, beyond our division foes, Saints, Bucks, Chiefs, Chargers, Niners. Now, with that being said,
I would feel a lot more comfortable if the road games were our home games.
Right. The Eagles have been said to have, for whatever it's worth, the ninth easiest schedule based off of last year's performance.
Yeah.
The easiest schedule goes to the Super Bowl winning champ Tampa Bay Bucks because they got Tom Brady. That's
Right.
free.
That's how it is.
Has nothing to do with the fact that that's just the way the schedule went out.
Right.
No, it's all Tom Brady's fault.
Tom Brady.
But yeah. What do you think is a reasonable number of wins to expect out of this team next year?
6.
I'm teetering between 6 and 7. Regardless of how good or bad Atlanta is, we always seem to struggle in Atlanta. Hell, matter of fact, every sports team struggles in Atlanta. When they had a hockey team, the Flyers struggled in Atlanta. I don't know what it is about Atlanta.
Right. Right.
But I look down the list though. Atlanta, you don't, and when I say winnable, I mean games that you don't automatically think, man, you're crazy to think they would win, right?
Right.
Atlanta seems like a winnable game. Carolina seems like it's a winnable game. You could assume that the Eagles are going to win at least 2 divisional games, right? At Denver, assuming Denver doesn't get Aaron Rodgers, is winnable, even though it's mile high. It's always hard to play at. At Detroit is also winnable. And then you don't know what you're going to get out of the Raiders. And it's funny because then out of the home games, I mean, we beat the Saints last year, even though they would be good. You would think. The Chargers, they got the second year quarterback. You're not sure. And then at the Jets, you think is winnable. I mean, that's a lot of winnable games. So with that being said, we'll probably beat the Chiefs and Bucks and lose to the Lions and Jets. I mean, that's just the way it works out.
Yeah. It's crazy because, in my opinion, out of 6 wins, 4 of them are going to be on the road.
Yeah, I mean,
we're going to be 2 and 6 at home. It's going to be rough. And then 4 and 5 on the road. So
I think it's going to be very telling how we do against teams like Atlanta. Of course, Dallas always is, a measuring stick one way or the other. But Atlanta with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley and now Kyle Pitts, if we somehow find a way to keep that air attack down, especially if it's early in the season, I'm not saying I'm expecting it, but if somehow, some way we find a way to do that, and they don't run for like 400 yards on us, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's got to be, even if we lose that game 20-13 and we hold them to under 200 passing yards, that's got to be a building block, right, for this year?
No. I mean, if that happens, yeah, you would look forward to that, but I personally don't see that happen. I think this year was about getting Hurts comfortable and building around him, and then next year building the defense up.
You got it at 6, I got it at 7. What we'll do next week when the schedule comes out, we'll kind of go through what games we hope they would win or whatnot. Yeah. And really just for fun. I mean,
right. And then once again, it's all based on who is on the roster at that moment. Like,
right. Who's
not, oh, well, if they signed this guy, they could win this game. But we ain't doing all that.
Listen, I mean, here's bottom line, you play Denver and there's about 6 inches of snow on the ground, all hell breaks loose. Like, it don't matter for both squads. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, here's the thing. If there's 6 inches of snow and we're playing in Denver, that may play, especially if they keep the 4 running backs I was talking about keeping it if they're healthy.
In that case, everybody gets a carry. Holyfield gets a carry. Achilles gets a carry.
Right. So
I have a 5-pack of questions. There was a question you wanted to ask too, so I'm going to leave that for the end. That's not going to count towards the 5-pack.
Okay.
All right. So
I actually have 2, 1 sports, 1 non-sports. But
okay. Wow. Okay. So you get a touchdown and an extra point of questions.
Oh man.
I was actually talking with you. I've heard this topic a lot about Sixers are about to clinch the 1 seed in the East.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the best Sixers teams we've seen in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And no one seems to be excited. A lot of people are just like, yo, like the almost the aspect of it is the Eagles. If the Sixers won the championship, it'd be like, that's cool. You should have won it 2 years ago, though. So you owed us that. Like,
I don't think it's that bad.
It's not that bad, but it's closer to that than people being super excited about you won the regular season.
Right.
So it got me thinking. It doesn't have to be a Philly team. Name a team that seem to be regular season champs. It could be for 1 season or, for a stretch of seasons that you just knew before the playoffs started, there's no way they win the championship. And I exclude any team that was the 1 seed and the Patriots and Tom Brady were the 2 seed. So, because that's
no Indianapolis Colts.
no Colts, no Baltimore that 1 year. Like we're excluding that.
You know what? I want to say Atlanta.
Falcons.
Yeah.
So, and you mean
Matt Ryan Falcons, and like even though they went to the play, even though they actually went to the Super Bowl the 1 year with Tony Gonzalez, but he had been there like 3 years, right? And they was always going in the playoffs, getting knocked out. It was just like, all right, they lighted up during the regular season, they ain't do shit. And another team, I'll give you 2 from the same fucking division, the New Orleans Saints. Every year.
Yeah, the Saints are current.
Yes, every year.
I was actually going to go. I knew you probably won't stick with football. Early 2000 Sacramento Kings.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how good they were, you knew.
I disagree with you because look, them refs, referees screwed that team over and over.
That one ref from Delco came out and admitted it too.
Every time, whether it was Portland or Sacramento was getting ready to knock that Lakers squad off, you read those shots.
The refs ain't make Chris Webber miss those 10 free throws.
No. But Shaq was out there fucking Sid Vicious power bombing niggas like bang and then dunking the ball.
Shaq was giving people he was out there and they would call it defensive foul.
Bro, he was out there. He would get the ball and get somebody Dusty Rhodes' elbow. Bang!
Name a non-Philadelphia athlete that you modeled your game after, whether it was basketball, baseball, football.
Oh, Deion Sanders.
Deion?
When I played. I mean, I wore the headband around my neck. I wore the bandana. I actually got a 15-yard unsportsmanlike because I did the high step on the interception. Yeah, so
as a kid, I used to try to emulate the swing of Ken Griffey Jr. baseball wise. Yeah, and it had the hat backwards. And, you know what? I follow up to that. Is there an athlete that's not super duper famous that you tried to emulate at all?
Chris Sabo, that when you said the baseball, when he used to go like this with the bat, like on his thing, and I used to go sit there and go like have it up like this. It looked like I was scratching my back, but like Chris Sabo. Mikey got me into that. Mikey from Mayfair got me into that.
I remember, and this explains people why I was never good at basketball. I tried to shoot free throws like Karl Malone, where the knees actually touched each other before you, like it was ugly, but he didn't ever seem to miss except on Sundays. But because the mailman doesn't deliver on Sundays.
Right. I used to joke around. Now I didn't actually emulate it, but like either the Bill Cartwright to see how the hell he made that shit. He would bring it up and then
Cartwright.
And then Reggie Miller. I just wanted to see how he could do it because he would cross his hands like this when he shot. I just could never do it.
I remember, shout out to Maurice in Feltonville, used to try to shoot his shots like Shawn Marion, like from the chest, because Shawn Marion was his favorite player. He was like, dude, what do you look? It looked like you let go too soon. Name an Eagle. I'm going to call this the Jason Peters question.
Oh.
Name an Eagle that you watched and you were just like, why didn't you retire sooner?
Ooh.
Now, I did not have an answer written down for myself purposely because I got to think about it too.
Bobby Taylor.
You know what? I was thinking about Bobby.
Because he went from the blanket, the Michael Irvin stopper to everybody was just burning Bobby Taylor towards the end of his career.
Bobby Taylor's a really, really good one.
Yeah, I had to think.
I want you to think about your Philly sports history.
Okay.
The most disappointing Philadelphia sports season to you that didn't end in a championship game. So it didn't end in a championship or conference championship game. So Eagles NFC championship game losses do not count.
The 2011 Phillies
That lost to the Cardinals. That was mine.
Lost to the Cardinals. And the '09 Eagles. Because it was the end of the era. It was the last game McNabb played when we lost, and then we lost to the fucking Cow. We allowed the Cowboys to vote, and then they broke their fucking like 20-year playoff streak against us. And it was like the last game McNabb played as an Eagle. It was just,
What's a little bit more disappointing to me than that was the damn Dream Team.
the Dream Team wasn't disappointing because I was just like, no, because remember that was all put together. There was no offseason or nothing.
Right. But what was disappointing to me? They were 4-8. They won 4 straight. If the Jets would have beat the Giants, we actually would have made the playoffs. But the Giants made it in on just strength of schedule or whatever. And then the Giants won the goddamn Super Bowl.
Right. No, another team, though, that was around that, the 2010 Eagles. That was the Miracle Meadowlands 2. And then all of a sudden,
the Riley Cooper against Green Bay where Vic rushed it. Yes.
Yeah.
That was.
I was at that game and Starks. His name wasn't Dwayne Starks. That was a cornerback from
Philippi Starks.
No, the Starks, the running back.
Starks, the running back. Yeah,
nobody heard of him all year. And all of a sudden, and Ernie Sims just looked like he forgot how to play football in that game.
He looked like he had his eyes closed the whole time.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, but Starks, Jim Brown Starks.
Yeah, he just ran all over us.
Name the first movie you actually took a date to.
If I remember correctly, I think it was The Crow.
The Crow?
Yeah.
When did The Crow come out?
Me and Omar went on a double date. I think that was like 93.
I don't know why I assumed The Crow came out like in the late 90s, but I'm sure you're right. It was early 90s. It was
like 93, yeah. Maybe even 92. No, maybe 92.
For me, it was Austin Powers 2.
Oh man, you're really telling our age difference.
Right. That was the first date that I ever went on to a movie.
So what? It couldn't have been The Crow then, because that was 94.
The movies of summer 92. Okay, so Lethal Weapon 3, Encino Man. I know you didn't take your sister, right? So I mean, the top movies were obviously you ain't go to Aladdin, The Bodyguard, Wayne's World, Lethal Weapon 3, Batman Returns.
It was Wayne's World. Yeah, and I can tell you, we went to join up a Roosevelt. I don't know.
Cottman Ave.
Cottman Ave, yeah.
Swing.
Which, by the way, has now been closed for almost a decade. It's crazy.
Right. You're right. Oh man, because that's where we went and seen the original Batman before your fourth or fifth birthday? Fourth birthday. Or sixth birthday.
Yeah, you actually had the Batman t-shirt.
Yes. We had the medallion. Yep.
Yeah. You had 2 questions.
All right. First question is about our beloved Eagles in this roster. Who do you think will be a surprise starter, one on defense, one on offense?
I think that on offense, assuming that we count the third wide receiver as a starter, I think you're going to see Fulgham on the field a lot more than Greg Ward.
Offensively, I'm going with Trevon Grimes. Just the big possession receiver. I think
as a starter?
Yeah, I think Rieger's going to end up bumping some on the inside as a slot receiver.
But on defense, I think it's Zach McPherson's going to be our number 2 corner.
I can see that. There's still the speculation they may sign a corner that our number 2 corner. I'm going to go with your guy, Davion Taylor, and at linebacker. I think he's going to have like that Mulata jump that Mulata had last year as being a project player.
I'm so glad you said it twice. I was like, he's going to have the mulatto jump. What is the mulatto jump? Do I want to know what the mulatto jump is?
My wife like it.
Swing.
Mayalata jump, like the jump that Mayalata had, like kind of, he was on the bubble of almost getting cut. Now he's just like, Cats is like, this kid could be an all-pro. Like, so my second question is, now, once again, everybody has debates of who's the best this, who's the best that. Most of the time of these top lists, it's based off a person's opinions and what they like, right? So, like prime example, me and you have a top 10 wrestling. You don't even have Edge even sniffing your top 10, and he's in mine, right? You know what I
Right.
mean? So,
Right.
so, your top 5 hip hop albums of all time,
Hip hop albums.
and it ain't gotta be in particular order. Like this is my favorite, but just your top 5.
So I will say this is a little difficult for me because I worked in hip hop radio for years and years.
Right.
And I also worked with a lot of, old school stuff. So, but, for me, like, for example, I respect Paid in Full as a classic album.
The whole album?
The whole album is considered a classic album. But to me, I was 3 years old?
Right.
And to go back, I mean, you're 11, so it doesn't have that.
Right.
So
but even Paid in Full, I mean, the whole album to me is just that one song, really. But that's
Don't
like you
Sweat
said.
the Technique was decent.
Yeah. That's true.
But anyway, Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt, which I respect more now that I'm older. Because Volume 2 was my favorite when I was a preteen teenager. But once I hit my late teens, 17, 18, 19, because I could kind of comprehend a little bit more. It was more than Can't Knock the Hustle. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nas Illmatic.
Mm-hmm.
Biggie Ready to Die. Believe it or not, and this is just my personal top 5. The Roots Things Fall Apart was a huge album for me personally.
Okay.
And it's interesting because once again, you ask 18-year-old Sheik this, Tupac, All Eyes on Me.
Okay.
But I realized like Tupac's Greatest Hits album is awesome to me, but All Eyes on Me compared to another album that used to be great, but because of what the guy has become, unfortunately, Kanye West used to be one of my favorite hip hop artists of all time. Like, and College Dropout was probably the most impactful album to me in college.
Right.
I can't even listen to it anymore.
Wow.
So I would have to say the 5th hip hop album is probably DMX's first album.
Wow, it's dark as hell. It's hot, huh?
Yeah.
I want to say, Reasonable Doubt. Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt. Nas's Illmatic. 36 Chambers. I was a freshman in high school. Came out 93. Yeah, that thing was just and Ready to Die and 50's Get Rich or Die Trying. Now, one of the most for totally different reasons was like how when you were in college, you were the smartest one of us two to actually go to college. You said the like how what's called was with you in the lifestyle I was living around the college age, should I say, almost Black Sunday, Cypress Hill. Was probably very influential for me, but it didn't make my top 5. But
was that the one with Hits from the Bomb?
Hit from the Bomb. I'm having illusions. I want to get high. Yeah.
So I heard that's on that album. I don't.
Yeah.
I already thought of the musical question for next week because something came up here for 98. It's not a classic, but I got a question for you for next week. I can't even tell you what it is. But it's going to be a good one. Listen, that's our show because we about to become a musical show.
Right.
Wouldn't be a bad thing, especially with summer coming up. Yeah, there's about 3 music questions I'm going to ask you next week. But anyway, have a good one. Let me, matter of fact, put this shit up where you can see both of us. Listen, enjoy your week. We'll talk to you about the schedule when it comes out and everything. And most importantly, man, stay safe, especially if you're in the Philly area. The violence is bananas right now. And a
Yeah,
lot
I've
of
seen
people,
it.
unfortunately, are getting injured that had nothing to do with anything. Literally, we just mind
Right.
our business. So,
But it's summertime, unfortunately, whenever especially in Philly, it always seems like in Baltimore too, it always seems like when the weather starts getting a little warmer, people start acting a little goofy.
but all right, y'all, have a good week and just stay safe. Peace.
Yeah, peace.